Parents, I wanted to create a video for you today about with some information based on a book that I've been reading called The Learning Habit. And I want to show it to you because it's an excellent book that I've just recently begun reading. And it is full of some wonderful advice for parents, which I think we all need, especially during the middle years. And it's based on research, and it's by three really good authors that are from the New England Center for Pediatric Psychology. Stephanie Pressman, Dr. Robert Pressman, and Rebecca Jackson. So some of this comes from them. And the book is not specifically about media use, but there's this chapter in the book that is, I think, phenomenal, and it is about media. And basically the book divides media use into three areas: media consumption, media communication, and media creation. And for the most part, what we do here at school is media creation. And the good news for you as parents is that they're not finding negative side effects from media creation. So using it at school, using your technology for homework, they're really not finding anything. In fact, they're finding good things about problem solving and collaboration with media creation. So that's the good news for that. They are finding some interesting findings from consumption and communication. So for the purposes of this particular video, I wanted to concentrate a little bit on the communication piece. Now, before some of you tune me out, because this is about cell phones, I want to make sure to be really clear about this. We're all in this parenting thing together. Yes, my children are way into adulthood now, but I also feel like with all my middle schoolers and with you guys, I don't have a magic prescription for anything. But when I do come across something that I feel like is really its own target, then I do like to share it. And it may be surprising for you to know that some of the things that trouble us have more to do with cell phones than they have to do with technology, an iPad, or anything else. So this little section is going to be about cell phones, and if you have already gifted your child or given your child a cell phone, don't turn this off quite yet, because maybe something of what I say will be affirming to you. The authors in this book said that they had given, one of the authors had given their child their first cell phone at 14, which I tend to think is around the right age, just for me personally, learning from what I see at school. And they said there's certain things that you just need to know. When your child gets a cell phone, here are about 6 things you just need to know. The first one is it'll become the most important thing in their life. The next one is that they will walk around looking at their phone even when there's nothing on it. So it's going to be a distraction. There will also be what they term is, and this is based on research, an immediate breakdown of verbal communication between child and parent. They'll begin to text you when they need to call you. And their advice is to establish rules about that, when it's okay to text and when it's not, so that they continue to learn, which our middle schoolers are doing all the time, about appropriate communication and how to navigate that when you agree and when you, more importantly, when you disagree. Quality time will never be the same. If they have a phone, then they're constantly multitasking. And while multitasking is a good thing, there's some research that says really that needs to start a little older than what we're seeing, especially in the younger years in middle school. And as hard as you'll try to place limits on digital communication, Snapchat and Twitter and other ways are around the students that are texting, and so you have to monitor this. Their sort of mantra is there'll be disagreements and you need to get over it and do what you're supposed to do as parents, and that's set limits. 2 things you can do: control how your child uses their phone in your presence. There's a lot in this book about staying present, both from a parent standpoint, when you're distracted by your phone and it's always going off or whatever, is to learn to stay present, when to leave it in the car, when to leave it in your purse, so that they feel you are truly listening. And then it goes both ways. The student or your child needs to feel the same need to stay present with you. So you need to try to control the use, especially in family time, and controlled where and when your child uses the phone at home. What is okay and what is not okay when doing that. Research recommends, and I thought this was fascinating, and honestly, I'm going to admit to you, I had never thought about this piece, so I don't know how that's going to sound, but the first thing is, do not buy your child a cell phone as a gift. It's a responsibility. Their belief, based on their research, is that if a child wants a cell phone and you've deemed it, their age is appropriate, maturity, or whatever, if they want one, it should come from their own money. And the same is true for the replacement of the phone. So they just recommend it's never given as a gift, but it is something that's a responsibility. That you always start with the basics: passwords, parental controls, and time limits. That before it goes into their hand, the cell phone goes into their hand, that those things should be understood. You always have the password, you always have the parental controls, and there's always a time limit given. And that there should be a family meeting that explains the responsibility of digital footprints and what that means. Because what we know is that at some point something can happen. Good students, good kids make poor decisions at times. That's just the fact. They don't have all those reasoning skills. They're going to do that. And so with this device placed in their hands, which, let's face it, I don't walk into the restroom with my iPad, but at home, your child may walk into the restroom or any other place with their cell phone and be, talking to somebody or texting somebody because they're trying to do it to get around you seeing it. And so I think clear, established rules are important. So going back to the digital footprint, they truly recommend that you have a family meeting and discuss what happens if you're bullying, cyberbullying, if you are using the phone for, I hate to say this, but sexting, taking and receiving pictures, inappropriate pictures, and posting destructive content online. They recommend you go ahead and set up your consequences for what that looks like, so that there's no questions asked. They know going into it that there is a consequence. Again, this is just one part of this book that I thought I might share with you today. Parents do ask me quite often about the age for a cell phone, and honestly, I think that's pretty individual. I didn't have to worry with this when my children were younger, but what I do know is that it can be a huge distraction, and many times I think as parents we're not fully aware of what that looks like until we have it in their hands. So I'm going to try to share some other things with you a couple of times the rest of the year on the learning habit, and we'll do that for you. And feel free to always ask questions if you need anything. Thanks for watching.